take. You know, I got my high school state championship team here, those guys, and they met every white man's hero, Mike Allstott. It feels pretty good. You know, it feels amazing. You know, to be here right now, and the weather is perfect. Tampa is beautiful as ever. The fans are amazing. I get to see my old crew, you know what I mean, still doing their thing, kicking, everybody's healthy. It's lovely. And to be honored like this is something that has been bestowed on me. You know, I truly don't believe that anything is necessarily, no one's entitled to anything. During my time and my 10-year plan, I was the best of the best, and I know it. You know, I'm unapologetically saying it. And to be honored like this, you know, for in the Rice's name, in my father's name, Henry Rice, and my Uncle Clee, who's my last uncle that's left in that lineage of family, in the Rice family, to honor them, this is what it's all about. And the fact that my son, James, and my son, Jordan, they get to see this moment, and my niece and my nephews, it's amazing. And I just feel like I'm a vessel. I'm a vessel, and I carry the torch and the spirit of all those that I have played with, that have supported me. We all go up together. It's just the name is Simeon Rice, but it's Mount Carmel, it's Roseland, Chicago, University of Illinois, even that drastic class that drafted me with the Arizona Cardinals at first. Yeah, no disrespect. I love them too. You know, this is amazing that what we are able to do. And you guys writing my story all along the way has been instrumental into me just playing. So this is all of us. This is all. I'm a part of all of you all's body of work. I truly am, and I'm thankful.
They got you up next to Coach Gruden over there, Sim. How's that sit with you?
Next to that guy? Next to that guy? It's amazing. What he's doing right now on social media is that of legends. You know what I mean? He's blowing up with all the young TikTokers. So it's kind of cool to see him blow up like this. And, you know, and to be next to a guy that came here, that we traded for, that helped us anchor ourselves to a championship, yeah, I can't say enough for it. It's amazing to be up there with those men.
To be a better player. So
how did he drive me to be a better? I don't think he drove me to be a better player. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. You know what I mean? I was always that dude. I was 1996 Rookie of the Year. You know what I mean? I averaged double-jack seasons my whole career. What it was instrumental for me was the men around me, what he was able to do and help us build a Super Bowl championship. In terms of my personal effort, I was going to come like that no matter what, through hook or crook, because that's the way I was built. You know, I was an all-pro before I ever even arrived here. But when I got here amongst the men I played with, I think having Marinelli unleash something special inside of me and understand my true abilities and my talent level was very instrumental as to me as a player. So, I mean, I thank God for that man. I thank God for John. I thank God for Tony for bringing me here. All those aspects were remnants and a part of the story that stands before you today. I'm a part of all those things. So I'm a sum of the whole. I'm a sum of all those parts. So it was all instrumental to some degree.
Simeon, put in perspective how special it was to play for that defense and how great that defense was.
Oh man, you couldn't even stand in that room if you weren't special. And to be one of the anchors and be, you know, the engine to make this thing go, you had to be a different type of animal, and I believe I was. Truth be told, I mean, I understood that. You know, that room was very competitive. The defensive unit was very competitive, and we were all out to crystallize and put our names at the highest level of this game. And when we were able to do that, cement ourselves with the 2002 Super Bowl championship, we're able to cement our legacies. And this goes to show this is just a kind of a payoff as to what it really, you know, means when you put all your work ethic into something. In my career, yeah, I was talented, but I was built on hard work, and that's what I leaned on. So I stand before you as a body of my own work in appreciation to all those things that came, whether the good or the bad, the struggles and the triumph, the victories and the defeat. It all helped build the career that I had. everything. And I think the highest level of when I became mastered at this game, I would say it was on that Super Bowl year when I realized, so I came to a point where I didn't have to have a chip anymore. It was like, you don't have to prove your haters wrong. You just got to prove yourself right. So when I got to that point, I understood I was mastered. I could drive, listen to my music at a sound level that wasn't bouncing in the car. I didn't have to go to a whole nother level with inside of myself. I had to just lean on the understanding of the person that I knew I was, and that I matured to be. And that was an unstoppable force of nature.
Simeon, can you engage us in some fantasy football for a second? Your 2002 Buccaneer defense versus Tom Brady and the Buccaneers offense in 2020, the other Super Bowl team.
Right.
How does it stack up? Which Super Bowl Buccaneer team would have won that mythical game?
Man, I'm going to pick myself all the time. I don't know. It got to a point, first of all, Tom Brady's amazing, all right? He's amazing at what he does. He's amazing as a game approach to the game and how he distributes the ball and how he thinks the game of football. But when you come to a team, offense and defense, I think defense, if you shut things down, I didn't think I got to a level, really, and I got to it early, that nobody could block me, and I knew that. Coming into that Super Bowl year, and I'm not veering away from that question, but to give you an understanding of my mindset is, coming into that Super Bowl year, I think it's after the New Orleans game, I came into a firm understanding, and I'm like, nobody in this league, I have no more rivals. All my haters started liking me. They started liking my play. So I'm like, okay, well, we done flip something, and we done change something here. So if I did the fantasy thing, I don't want to disrespect that team or our team. I think, in our own way, we have our own levels of brilliance. I'll let you all do all the, I'm never going to pick against myself because I understand who I am. But that team's amazing. We're amazing. And I think, hypothetically, if you want to play that game and you want to pick, you're free. Whatever you choose isn't wrong. It's a two-headed coin.
You had so many career highlights. Super Bowl obviously would be the pinnacle as far as the team goes. So, were there games, moments that you remember that stand out?
Yes, there was plenty of moments that stood out throughout my career. It was a season I had 16 and a half sacks, and the NFL got it wrong, and I had 18 sacks. And they rescinded it and said sorry, and I'm like, wait a minute, I just led the league in sacks, and they gave me my faults on the play. It was a 1991, changing to 2000 Y2K game, and it was just takeover. Washington Redskins, a 4-sack game that was just unstoppable. 3-sack game in the first quarter against New Orleans. Now I never forgot, I came to the sideline. It's the men that makes it possible. It's the men that set a tone, the teammates that you have. And Sapp looked over and was like, oh my God, Sam, you could get 9, 10 sacks this game. He was like, oh my God, you unstoppable. And, and every game approach, the thing that I understood is like when a game plan, we were only going to get 3-step drops. Offense just didn't open up. And all I was doing during the game oftentimes is looking for when we get a 5-step drop. Like when you are going to drop and show a pure pass, where you have to drop back pure pass and throw the ball. My fantasy moment, if I fantasize anything, it's like, imagine if our offense could have scored 28, 32 points a game. I'll take 24 points a game. What does that do for my numbers? I think it sent my numbers to like averaging 21 sacks a season. You know what I mean? Just because now you got to be competitive. You're throwing the ball. So those are the things I fantasize about.
Brooks was telling me, Sim, the other day that in the Super Bowl, Brad threw an interception on the very first drive, setting up the Raiders for a touchdown, and then you hounded Gannon, and they got to settle for a field. He thought that turned the whole game around.
It did, because it's a big game. It's a big moment. In these big moments, I think throughout my whole play, even through high school, with state championship game on the line, sack, fumble, we win the game. I was the big playmaker throughout the game record. And sacks are sacks, right? Sacks can affect game. But as an imperialist, as a person that really understands this game, and Rod he kind of honed it into me, like, Simeon, the sacks you make aren't just normal sacks. These sacks wreck games. These are 2-minute offenses. They got a red zone. This is big play moments. In a big play, you come through almost at a rate that's like insane when you think about the game of football. Everybody know who's they got to block. Now we got to block you back. You get your sacks in the most meaningful moments. And in that moment, that play, I understood what our team, we was in a panic mode because this is the Super Bowl. This is our first one. We are here. We're playing against the number one offense. They got a high-powered offense. Again, what you know is knowledge is tenfold because I knew that nobody in the world could block me. So I'm like, okay, we got to make a play. Once we show we can make a play to their play, we can match their levels of play, whole nother ball game. Now they panicking. Now they got to block me. And they're like, yeah, you got to see me. And the game just started. So what is it going to look like? They credit me for 2 sacks. I got 3. You know that, right? Sapp was arguing, though. He's like, Sim, because I think it was the extra point play or whatever, and they didn't consider that they just a play. And he's like, Sam, you had 3 sacks. He's arguing on their behalf. But the fact that the impact of plays, the impact of the situation, the moments that stand on the line, meaningful moments, game-tying moments was what I was known for. And I understood if you do that, if you can stand tall in those moments, the rest of the men going to follow. Because this is on par for, this is our normal situation. You know, we're going to let cool heads provide. We don't have to be in a panic mode. We got this. And I think that's what that showed. No matter what the circumstances were, what the pressure was, we were built for it because we have a Simeon Rice. That's like having a Hawk.
Simeon, you're going into the Bucs Ring of Honor today.
Yes.
Is the Hall of Fame next?
So they say. You know what I mean? I understand. Quite frankly, I understand why I wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm one of 3 players that averaged double digits my whole career, far past before I got here, even though getting here was just, it took me to the highest levels of heights. I think if you look at my numbers and my impact plays and how I was able, not many players changed it's 2 players during my tenure playing that I know that affected game plans, similar to be not as consistent. One was when young Javon Curse came into the game. I used to run home and watch him play. And Dwight Freeney, and I'm like, oh man, that high-powered offense, and they getting off the ball and things of that nature. You know, even though he kind of like, screen pass and thing, he was up the field, but he was amazing. He was tremendous. When I look at my level of play and performance, I don't see guys like that, similar guys like that. And if I see guys, I see where they say, this guy's the best ever. This guy. So I'm like, if you could take my performance, put it in anybody else's body now, they're going to be considered one of the best that ever played. And that's just what it is. In 12 years of dominance like that, it was like dominating like you never seen. Only all defensive player doing my play that was able to swing like the tempo of a Super Bowl was Deion. You know what I mean? And then I come in and I do similar feats, even more in terms of the impact of how I played, in terms of just wrecking games from causing sack fumbles and all. I remember at one point, what Rod charted me, my sack fumbles was so distant past anybody, it was ridiculous. And I'm not even gonna sit here and get the numbers, but it was so far past, and it was like, that is why I play the game, to impact winning. So that's how I look at that. So again, I didn't understand when I wasn't a first ballot, and then that's when my parents was alive. It meant so much more to me when my parents was alive, because I wanted them to be honored in that moment and with that. And now, and my brother, but now that my brother and my mom and my father has died, that feeling it doesn't rage, it doesn't burn like it did before, because it was all, for me, I'm all about representing those that helped me get to where I stand right before you as you see me today.
What do you think of Myles Garrett, Sim?
I think he's amazing. I think Myles Garrett is amazing.
Break the record, yeah.
I think Myles Garrett is amazing. I think what he's doing is how he's impacting the game. He's kind of like how I was in Arizona. He's just with a team that isn't getting the respect because they can't win. But his personal performance is outstanding. When I was in Arizona, I'm 16 and a half sacks, credit for 18 facts, and the next person that had sacks next to me was like 2. You know what I mean? Like 2, 3, that's it. That's it. You know what I mean? And we'll go to the game. Me and Joe Green was my coach, and he'll go through like, listen, Sim, heavy is the head to wear a crown. You showed you got to be good. Now you got to be great. Sorry. You know, no one cares. Get over it.
Same thing.
So what he's doing is doing it even that much more because of his brilliance. Look at what he's doing. And you know, and he's not losing sight to play and impact the game the way he's doing and not losing sight of his own personal performance, because it could get dark. You losing like that, it could get dark. Like, oh, he could let it slip a little bit, and he's not. He's upholding the torch within his own career and his own life, so he crystallized his life, and he's doing it. And it's not being highlighted because he's not getting the victories, but he's getting the fact that you asked me that question about him right now, he's getting some of the respect that he deserves. I had all that, and I didn't even get to the Pro Bowl because Tony had to bring me. And it was a small market, so mine was even a worse situation. Then I had Sapp at the Pro Bowl, and he goes, "Oh, Sam, I don't know how Strahan didn't give you your invite because you should have been here." And I'm like, "Sapp, chill out." You know what I mean? But yeah, he's in a dire situation, but he's doing the best he can with it.
In hindsight, what are you most proud of from your playing career? Not only just in general, but in particular your time in Tampa.
Oh, man, the most. The thing that's, I think the fact that I'm most proud of the fact that I was able to impact winning throughout my whole career. The fact that I was known for right off. You ask my high school coaches, college coaches, when we never won at Michigan and me making the big plays and we win the game at Michigan for the very first time, and those are legacy moments. So I understand the biggest moments and the most high pressure situations when I really shine. And I think those moments throughout my whole career is like playing in the clutch. I was to be able to be known to be great in those clutch moments. In those moments, there's very limited scenarios. You don't have a lot of there's not a lot of situations where you can have a lot of fault. And in these given scenarios, you're able to make the best of it and make the biggest plays in the worst scenarios. And that makes you an impact player and a game wrecker and a game changer. And truth be told, I don't see that in which when I watch defensive players. But that's what I look for. I look at guys making plays, but when are your plays being made? When we need you the most. That's when we need a hero. You know what I mean?
Kind of expounding on that, you worked with Yaya Diaby this offseason.
Say that again?
Saying you kind of expounding on that, you worked with Yaya Diaby this offseason, and you're seeing Hassan Reddick out there today play against the Cardinals, another well-renowned pass rusher.
I wouldn't like to say I worked with him.
Oh, you talked to him.
They had me walk around. I don't want to disrespect what he doing. I don't know if he having a great year or nothing. That's all him. They had me that was for views, bro.
Your playing career, especially in Tampa Bay, and then to now when you're being honored by them in the Ring of Honor. How do you think your position at edge rusher, defensive end has evolved the most in the NFL?
I see so many guys now that line up like I did now. I see so many guys that rock 97. I see some guys that perch down in their stance and they lining up just like I did. And I just see the overall effect on the game from a speed standpoint of impacting plays. I see guys that now they work in the offseason. If you look online, all you see on social media is guys pass rushing. They got pass rushing coaches. And that's what I did all day without any of those coaches or anything. I just worked on my own personal game. So I see the pass rushing game even more of a skill and more of an art than I ever had before in my life with more athletic guys. Similar to myself. Thanks, fellas. Thanks, ladies, fellas, for coming out.
Congratulations, man.
No doubt. Thanks.